Welcome back to Worship Leader Wednesday.
We're back.
Hoping you're having a fantastic Wednesday today. Yeah, me too. It's Thursday, Fuller.
Oh, well. I'm calling it into existence.
Hey, we don't film all these on Wednesdays, but we do upload them on Wednesdays. So we've been talking about multitracks. Our last Worship Leader Wednesday video was part 1 in this 2-part series, Compelling Reasons to Use Multitracks. We filmed this entire module for the Worship Manual Volume 2 over multitracks. Tons of content about what they are, how to use them, best practices. One of the videos we made in that module was
Common mistakes
and pitfalls to avoid, and we thought we just need to make this into a Worship Leader Wednesday video. So here we are. We're going to talk about, Fuller and I are going to share from our collective bad experiences.
Nailed it.
Yeah. How to fail miserably using multitracks.
That's right.
Don't do what we're about to talk about. Here it comes.
All right, so here's a common mistake. See it happen a lot. I personally did it one time. It was the last time I ever did it.
Never again.
Yeah, so I'm going to try to save you some time if you haven't started using multitracks. Make sure that before you start implementing multitracks that you cast lots of vision and that you prepare your team before the weekend you start using them.
Yeah.
You don't want to just come in one Sunday morning and go, all right, guys, we're using multitracks. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. Right. You'll hear a click, and when it says this, let's start playing the song.
Yeah, and you brought headphones today, right? Because we're doing in-ear monitoring with it.
Terrible idea. I know you've been using wedges your entire life, but today, so don't do that. It sounds kind of facetious. It happens.
It does.
It happens.
Yeah,
you might actually be guilty.
And when you implement multitracks, you're changing culture in your church, not only for your worship team but for your congregation.
That's right.
Because the way that your worship team does the music is going to change a lot, especially if you're moving from wedge monitors to in-ear monitors. And the way that your worship sounds is going to change, hopefully for the better.
Hopefully.
And your congregation will hopefully embrace it, but it's going to be different. And you don't want to change culture like that. It takes time to do it well. So take your time. Another mistake to avoid is to not include your pastor. So we mentioned in our in our worship manual content, we mentioned the whole board meeting and the financial committee and how to approach them. And here's imagine the scenario going down. You're asking for money, whatever it is, to do this, and the budget committee or the budget guy or whoever's in charge is like, and then your senior pastor pipes in. And he's like, I think this is a great idea, and I'm behind it. It's going to help. Yeah. How do you think that meeting is going to go?
Way better.
Right? So you want your senior pastor to be behind you in this decision. It's a very important, and it's going to be a result of more work on your behalf because you have to come up with that vision,
more conversations,
cast that vision to your pastor. Right? And get them on board with you, but it is totally worth it.
And chances are he has no idea what you're talking about.
Right.
So you're going to have to really
some education
take
involved.
It slow, educate, use valid resources, talk about Hillsong and Bethel and all these other churches that are currently doing it so that it validates them and it doesn't just seem like some harebrained idea that you came up with in your bedroom.
My worship leader wants to spend more money.
I want to spend $50,000 on something you have no idea of what it does. Okay. Sign me up. Not going to happen. No. Another common mistake is we start using multitracks and we go way too much, way too soon. So we go from a 3-piece rock band for 9 years to 60-piece orchestra with strings and loops and 20 synth tracks.
Using too many
stems. Too much stems, too many musics, too much music. So you want to make sure that when you start using multitracks, that your first approach is just get everything working. Yeah. Get the band accustomed to hearing clicks and cues before you start bringing in more music, before you start bringing in all the cool parts and all the pads and synths and percussion and stuff. So go slow. Right. Don't make it be like a butterfly coming out of, because you were a caterpillar yesterday and now you're this beautiful butterfly, because people aren't going to perceive it like that.
Right.
They're going to go, what is happening?
Where am I?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Another mistake to avoid is to not validate your volunteers' concerns.
That's right.
And you're going to have pushback from people. And you're going to have people who don't want to use in-ear monitors, people who don't agree with using tracks at all. It's very important for you to value people above anything else.
Yeah, listen to their concerns.
People are far more important than running an extra pad track during one of your songs.
Although pads are cool.
Pads are good. We love you hear words from tutorials. Of course, we are
some pads.
Pro pad, but we are much more pro taking care of and leading well your volunteers. And in the same way, one way to not honor a volunteer is to like replace them while they're on stage.
Ouch.
And this happened to me. Like I've been playing my guitar part and something happens and I stop playing and I still hear it.
Wow, and do I have that good of an ear?
Yeah. No,
that's like, actually happening.
My delays are perfect. Yeah, they're still going.
They're adding different notes.
Like, so when a musician hears their part in the tracks, that does not feel good.
It's devaluing them.
Yeah, and it really does devalue them, and it's poor leadership, and you don't want to be guilty of poor leadership. Make it a point, if you've got 2 guitar players, just mute all the guitar tracks.
Yeah.
If you have a person playing piano, mute the piano track. And here's the thing you might think as the worship leader, that piano player is not going to execute that part like they're supposed to. So I need it in the track, but it's not worth the way you're going to devalue that volunteer by replacing them with technology while they're there. That doesn't feel good at all. So really what it is an opportunity for you to lead well in that moment and come alongside, not just in that moment, but to come alongside that musician and help them improve, help them get to a point where they do execute what they need to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't devalue your volunteers with the use of multitracks. It's easy to do. It's probably easier to do than you think it is.
Yeah. Another mistake is to not have the right technology to make the experience good.
Yeah.
Either you're not running the tracks in a good way to the board so the sound guy doesn't have any control, or your in-ear system isn't what you need to have a quality listening experience.
Yeah.
So in addition to all of the other obstacles, now you're also not doing it well.
Yeah.
The multi-tracks don't sound good or they're not being able to execute well. This is a common mistake. So before you start using multi-tracks, make sure you have a good system and a good process technologically, and you've worked with your production people to make sure you can execute it at the level that it needs to be.
Yeah.
So that it's a better experience for everyone.
Maybe here's a rule of thumb you can follow. If the laptop that you're using to run tracks takes over 90 seconds to boot up, maybe don't use that laptop. Like if it's 10 years old, the equipment that you use needs to be reliable, or you're gonna have it will fail and it'll never be at rehearsal.
It'll
always
morning.
be on a Sunday morning.
That's right.
That's how it works.
In the middle of a huge song.
That's right.
That's right. And also people's ears. If they have really terrible in-ears, it's not going to be a good experience.
Yeah.
So get all that right first.
Right.
If you can't get that right, just wait. Just press pause and wait till you can get that right. There's 3 steps in using click tracks, okay? The first step is you can't play with them because they're confusing and they throw everybody off. The next step is the complete opposite. You can't play without them. You've gotten so reliant on them that you try to do a song without a click and it's a total disaster. It's like the drummer forgot how to count a song off. It's like, or whatever. Or no one really thinks about the tempo because they don't ever have to.
It's totally
it happens all the time. And then stage 3 is where you want to be. You can play perfectly with the click. You can play perfectly without it. You got the freedom. You got the flexibility. You got the production value if you need it. You got the spontaneity if you need it. It's a beautiful place to be. So, take your time and just know that that's going to be a natural progression. Don't freak out. And think, oh my gosh, what have we done? But just give that time to develop. And don't ever become a slave to the click. You don't ever want to become so reliant on the click that you can't function without it.
Right.
So that's really important.
Yeah. Again, I'm just going to say, take our advice because we have made these mistakes. And they're not fun mistakes to make. Living with the collateral damage that happens when you make a mistake. Like if you devalue a volunteer.
That's a bad one.
That that's not something that you want to have to deal with as a leader. So take it from us. Do not make these mistakes as you implement multitracks or continue to use multitracks in your church. Thanks for watching. Links below for the Worship Manual, Volume 1 and Volume 2, when it becomes available. See you in the next one. Bye.